Are you tired of overpriced groceries and limited options at the supermarket? Because I know I am. Well, try Misfit Marketplace, where every box is packed with delicious organic produce at up to 40% off retail prices. That's right. You get your fresh fruits to colorful veggies. Misfit Marketplace delivers quality ingredients straight to your door. Visit misfitmarket.com and use code POD20, that is POD20, to get 20% off your first order, and tell them that Dr. T sent you. Eat well, save money, and join the Misfit movement today.
Hey, come on in and welcome to A Win is a Win podcast, where sports and everything else collide. Comfortable? All right. Let's go, Dr. T.
Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. Yes, guys, welcome back to another episode of A Win is a Win. Now, I told y'all last week I was coming right back here, and guess what? Here I am. But first, let's take care of a little bit of housekeeping. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. And don't forget to tell somebody else to join A Win is a Win. And listen, thank you guys for listening and tuning in. And while you're doing that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And as always, it won't cost you a thing. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you know when a new episode drops. Well, week 2 of this rather interesting NFL season is in the books. And we got some scores to get to. But first, don't forget to check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio, or wherever you tune in to get your podcast. That's where you can find me. Listen, it was a rough day in the Lone Star State for Caleb Williams. Yep. Now, basically, we're getting hammered and throwing 3 picks. The Bears fall to CJ Stroud and company 13-9. Now, Russ is kind of still getting the dust off of his calf injury, quote unquote. I don't know how to feel about that because I feel like this. If you can suit up, you can play. But, that's just me. But while Fields is holding it together as much as he can, they take the W on Russ's old team, 13-6. And, you know, Russ being on his on his old turf, you would assume that he would, that would be his show out game. Like, okay, y'all traded me for a Jimmy John sandwich and a bag of chips with a diet soda. So now it's going to be my return to show. But, it didn't happen. They still got the W and got a sympathy ball. We'll talk about that later. Listen, 2 picks and a possible. Yep. 2 picks didn't stop them from taking the W over a nail biter against Cool, Macaulay Culkin and company. Yep. I don't know what you can say about Patrick Mahomes, but listen, all that talking, all that big bad wolfing that some of the Bengals did, Mahomes and company came back and beat them 26-25 with a walk-off field goal. We'll get into more details about that a little bit later because that was indeed a nail biter. Now, the Rams took a trip to the desert, and check this out. They found out it is indeed hot and dry out here. Yep. The Cardinals cooked their hooves 41-10 with Marvin Harrison putting on the show finally. And we know how that first game went and what Kyler Murray said, but it was 41-10, and they left cooked. Okay, hooves and everything went right on back to LA. Now the Ravens are um, on a donut right now, y'all. They are 0 and a dub, falling 0-2 to the Raiders. They sent the birds flying back to Baltimore, y'all, winning 26-23. I mean, y'all tell me what you think. Is it time to go into panic mode for the Ravens? And why do you think they've been getting off to such a shaky start? Jump down in the chat. Um, Let me know what you think about that and some of these other scores. Listen, Baker Mayfield, he got a brand new bag, y'all, and is backing up the money. Let me rephrase that. I should say this. He and his team is backing up the money, yeah. And went on the road to beat the Lions 24-17. And, you know, I think the the Cleveland Browns have to be a little salty right now. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. Well, 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 well. Mm-hmm. Mr. Chatty Cathy finally took flight and got himself a W. That's right. Rodgers and the Jets beat the Titans 24-17. About time. It is about time. And let's see what he does for the remainder of the season. I don't want to hear him talking no more. This is what people were saying. We just want to see you play football. Well, all right. It's time to shut up and put up. Listen, y'all. The Vikings pulled up with the North Sea ships, sailed right on in to the Bang Bang 49er gang territory and took the W 23-17 upset. And more than half of the handle was on the 49ers. No one saw that coming. I didn't see that coming either. Listen, the Seahawks, they're trying to make you think that the Seahawk is actually a real bird. Now, this past Sunday, they beat the Patriots 23-20. Now, the Seahawks are getting off to a good start right now. Let's see if they can keep up that momentum. But the way that they are playing, yeah, they make you forget that the Seahawk is not even a real animal. Bird, rather, I should say. Um, Sleeping giant. Yep. A sleeping giant because they can't be awake, in my opinion, playing football the way that they have been. Yep, the New York Giants lose to the Commanders 18-21. Have no idea what's going on with that team right now, but it's not looking too good. Now listen, Harbaugh bought probably, I think he had to buy or bought somewhere into the electric companies in California because, listen, his Chargers are on fire right now. They are electric, sitting at 2-0 going into week 3. The Chargers knock off the Panthers. Y'all ready for this? 26-3. Held them to 3 roll tacos at the drive-thru on the Saturday night. Extra cheese, lettuce, and sour cream. 3 rolled tacos. That's it. Sent them right on out the drive-thru without a drink. No horchata. No Jamaica at all. 3. 26 to 3. Harbaugh is not playing no games at all. Listen. Oh, my Lord. There was a team that got destroyed this weekend, and we all know who it was. We don't even have to guess because if you didn't see it, you heard about it. Listen to me. The horns were out and the saxophones were tuned up. The drum line was cued, and the second line marched right on into Jerry's world and put the Cowboys back on their horses and galloped right back home. That's right. They took the W. Listen, they not only took the W, they snatched it, held it hostage, and didn't even give them a chance to get it back. 44-19. Pour them Cowboys a new hell. You hear me? Dak Prescott is in the press conference blaming everybody, having an adult tantrum, probably ready to go home and drink one of his look like he's want to drink one of his daughter's little juicy juice cups or whatever. That's how bad of a tantrum he was having. Well, it's you guys in the press that puts us on this pedestal. And of course, okay, all right, how about you talk about what you did wrong in the game and what didn't happen instead of talking about it's the press? Are you kidding me, Mr. $60 million man? Stop it. Your contract sound like a 1970s TV show. A $60 million man ain't going nowhere fast. Stop it. Take accountability for when you lose. Dak, stop crying like a little girl when you lose. Listen, let's get into this. Happy Mexican Independence Day. Belated. All right. Of course, because we're recording after the fact. But happy Mexican Independence Day to my Hispanic brothers and sisters out there. Okay. And listen. The Sphere was on fire Saturday, thanks to Dana White. And let me tell you, Dana White is a marketing genius, if you ask me. He put this fight together up and down. I don't think that he might have been too happy with the outcome. Maybe he probably thought that there would be more that would take place. However, Mirab destroyed Sugar. Yep. With a R5 decision. Um, he pulled off the upset. Yep. Pulled off the upset in round 5. Um, and they both fight in the Bantam weight class. I believe that's how you say that. But listen, all of the money was on Sugar. You hear me? And O'Malley just didn't perform. I don't know if the stage was too big. I don't know if the lights were too bright or what happened, but he did not perform the way that he normally does. Listen to these numbers: 0 knockdowns, only 53.8 strike percentage, no takedowns, and no submissions. Screwed up everybody. Nobody saw that coming. Nobody. I mean, all of that talking and all of the hype around it, I think what happens is sometimes the hype gets bigger than the actual sport itself, and then we end up with stuff like this. But that doesn't take anything away from him getting his tail knocked off. Doesn't have anything to do with that at all. Listen, something else happened on Saturday. Now you had that going on in Las Vegas, and you also had boxing. One of the biggest fights that took place this year went down and is now in the books. Now, Berlanga, he stood strong, but it wasn't enough to fend off Canelo Saturday night, who won by unanimous decision. And Alvarez is now 62, 2-2, and Berlanga falls 22-1. And you know what? Shout out to Berlanga because he was taking Canelo's everything he was throwing. He was taking them punches on the chin. He was standing tall. He didn't back down, but it just wasn't enough. He only won. You look at the box scores. He only won 2 out of all of the rounds, all 12. But he stood through all 12. It just wasn't enough. But you have to give that man respect for one, getting in the ring, and two, give respect to, Canelo and his team. And this could be his first and last pay-per-view showing. We don't know that. But indeed, Canelo had to walk him down and let him know. I heard what you said, young man. You said I lack the intelligence to understand boxing on the Stephen A. Smith podcast. So let me help you understand that I don't do no talking. I'm going to just meet you in the ring. And that fight was decent. He ended up getting that young man a nice payday. So it should be interesting to see what. I know everybody wants Canelo and Benavidez, but stop. Okay. More than likely, we are not going to see that. Too much going on behind the scenes for that to happen. Money talks aren't right and a bunch of other stuff. So who Canelo is going to fight next? Have no idea. Berlanga has a long career, so it should be interesting to see what fight is going to take place for him next. But I do not think it's going to be on pay-per-view. Okay, we're going to come back with some sports news, and we're going to dig a little bit deeper into some NFL news. And folks just cannot seem to wrap their head around something that DeMar Rosen said. So we'll take a short break and come back and unpack all of this. We'll be right back.
Looking for some quality betting picks? Well, download the Discord app and join our group Bet Masters Lounge, where you can get positive EV and arbitrage along with best bets and parlays. Download Discord now, send us an invite, and get in on the action.
Asia Wilson set the WNBA's record for 1,000 points in a single season. And guess what? Her season is just still ticking along. It ain't even over yet. She is making noise. No question about who should be the MVP. I know there's always some chitter chatter around that subject, but if you have to ask, then you need to do some more research. Listen, Athletes First has announced that David Mulugeta, who represents players like Jordan Love and Jalen Ramsey, and I believe he represents Christian Wilkins. He has negotiated $1 billion plus in a single year. And what's interesting about David is he's one of the agents that you will look at and see that they are still, in this line of work, there are still good agents, and they are not trying to take your money. They are not trying to rob you. They are negotiating deals to get you what you are worth, because let's face it, athletes go broke. They don't know how to manage their money. I mean, look at what's going on with Adrian Peterson right now. You have to wonder who he had advising him or not, to the point where now he has to have memorabilia, property, and everything confiscated to pay a $12 million debt, possibly file bankruptcy. I have no idea, but yeah, every once in a while you'll run across people like Mulugeta who is negotiating high deals and not taking anything that they shouldn't. Listen, why is Mahomes not in the top 10 of the highest paid QBs was a question on a couple of social media pages that I've seen once that contract came out before the Browns game last week. And what's interesting to me is that he is unbothered by the conversation, because if you really look at what he did, he took a pay cut so that the Chiefs could build their team up. Now they have two chips, possibly working on number 3 this year. Don't know yet. Season is still early. My point is this: he took the cut so they could bring more. Essentially, if you win Super Bowls, right, that's a bonus, and et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of the day, when you add the money all back up, he's actually making more. And those are the type of pages and things that, excuse me, Jerry Jones needs to take out of somebody else's book, because that contract that just happened over there in Dallas makes no sense, as much as that stupid contract that you have in Cleveland with Deshaun Watson. Okay, I'll be quiet. Let's talk about why Jamar Chase ahead of Sunday's game and some of his teammates have so much to say about the Chiefs. Take a listen.
Bengals star Jamar Chase shares a brutally honest admission on their rivalry with the Chiefs. Jamar Chase and the Cincinnati Bengals have established themselves as one of the few teams capable of challenging the Kansas City Chiefs. Mahomes. Their past successes, including 3 wins in their last 4 matchups against the Chiefs, and their victory in the 2022 AFC Championship, give them confidence heading into their Week 2 clash at Arrowhead Stadium. And Chase's comments do a great job of reflecting the intensity of the rivalry. The energy is there. I'm sure that they know that we don't like them. They don't like us. The energy is already there. There's not really much we have to say up to this point. We're the team to beat in the AFC. However, Chase and Joe Burrow will need to elevate their performance if they hope to continue their dominance over Kansas City. Do you agree with Chase's comments?
No, and now you sitting 0-2 on the donut. Listen, sometimes it's good to put a zipper on your lip and shut up, good brother. Just be quiet, brother, because all of that talking plus what you're going through with your contract is, you're not showing up like you should. You're distracted, and you can see that in your performance on the field. On top of it, now you're acting out, and you cost your team 15 yards because you wouldn't shut up and you thought that the ref wasn't going to tee you up. I'm surprised you ain't get the double text though. You know what I'm saying? And out of here. Ejected. And Burrow, who you should have more respect for, tried to get you to stop. Now you want to push and shove on him. I had to go back and watch the video for myself. You want to go and push and shove on Burrow when he's trying to tell you to keep a cool head. We trying to win a game here. Pushed him back 15 yards. Now you got to make it up. And you put Mahomes right on that field to do exactly what he does. And Butker's, however you say his name, he could probably kick that ball from 70 yards. And then to back that up, we have a rookie mistake. So it throws off the team momentum and the vibe when you consistently just don't be quiet. Just stop talking and play. If you are unhappy about your contract, that's coming up in the off season. Deal with it then. Turn off the noise, get on the field, and get started, because I'm a Cleveland Browns fan, so I don't have much room to talk because my team is pretty much, you know, the neighborhood football team that you go see when you don't have anything else going on a Saturday afternoon. Okay, let's go meet up at the park, and you watch them play, get dirty, roll around in the mud, and then you go back home. But at the same time, this 0-2 start that you all have, I get it. That's just how the Bengals are. But at the same time, you have to clean up your act a little bit because it's starting to show. And that's not something that you want to continue to happen. Listen, Deion Sanders still, I don't know what the deal is with him and all the people that dislike him, but now he's being called um, an unproductive DEI hire. Now, um, how can I say this? Some people were trying to say, and reporters, that he is only there to ensure that his sons get drafted. I don't necessarily feel that that is uh, right. He's a father. I mean, who wouldn't? If you're a dad or you're a parent, a mother, daughter, father, son, it doesn't matter. What else would you do? Now, an NFL executive believes Deion Sanders is, quote, listen to this, is a guy who lacks detail. His hard edge style is running people out of there, and he is just really promoting his sons in Colorado. And I don't think that's right. Um, and I think that, at any given time, people can pick and choose what they want to pick on Dion about. Now it's okay. He's, you know, how do you say it? He is showing favoritism, showing favoritism to Travis Hunter and Shador. Well, you have other people that are spewing these things on top of this NFL executive. Isn't it always interesting to me that the person or the people who are talking is always a source and not coming out and putting a name to it. Put a name to it. That's what I like. If you're gonna say something, put a name on it. But anyhow, you have people that are saying crazy stuff like he's a DEI hire. He was coached and favored well at Jackson State, but nowhere near a Division One team. Nowhere, and we know that Jackson State was not. But we shouldn't ignite a culture war. If Dion is not a good coach, it's not a good coach. But we can stop with this DEI stuff. It's getting old now. Colorado decided that they wanted to bring Prime in to coach the Buffaloes. So that is what it is. Now, here's my question. If Dion was winning and was ranked, would the noise still be as loud in a negative way? It's funny how those things work, right? Nonetheless, the one thing that I do know and that I would like to see is in work on that run game because I don't know what's going on with that. Listen, McCaffrey is still out and will probably be placed on IR. And not entirely sure if they're going to put a return date back on it until he heals up. So looks like the 49ers are going to have to put in a bit more work than they did to get blown out like that. You got to make some things work. A team can't depend on just one person. You got to have more than one weapon. Listen, Bills Mafia has helped raise $16,000 to the Tua Foundation. And We all know the unfortunate incident that happened with Tua, yet another concussion. And a lot of NFL ex players, current players, NFL coaches, his own coach. Well, no, not his coach because he really wasn't in agreement with this statement. But a lot of people are telling him that the NFL football is not worth your life and that you can die or have CTE or have severe brain damage. It is not worth it. Retire and spend time with your family, and perhaps still stay involved, either with the organization or the NFL in some entity. And you have players, after the game. Josh Allen said it's nothing but love and prayers to him and his family. Von Miller said, I love Tua on and off the field, and I wish him a speedy recovery. Let's listen to what they had to say.
Yeah, very sad. It's the worst part of the game. Um, nothing but love and prayers sending to him and his family, and hopefully. How was it watching too? Oh, it was tough. I love Tua on and off the football field. I'm a huge fan of him. And then I can always I can empathize and sympathize with him because I've been there. I've been injured and I know how tough that road is to come back. So
And it was pretty nice to see, even after the game, that they take time to, you know, send their prayers and thoughts out to Tua. Here's my thought. With more extensive tests in days to come and official reports from not just team doctors, but I'm pretty sure other hospital doctors within the Miami area. I will, however, say before I continue that the independent neurologist who told him that he can go back in the game, you need to be reported, not fired. You need to be reported because clearly there's no way he could have passed the eye test. But anyway, there will be some more medical reports that comes out, and hopefully Tua and only Tua, along with his family, his agents, his lawyers, and some people that are involved in upper management and front office from the team can make the best decision for Tua. um I would hate to see him take another hit and something happen far more tragic than what's already been happening. So we hope that he gets back up on his feet and make the best decision for himself. Look, Dak says ahead of that blowout that he will lead the Cowboys, oh Lord, to a Super Bowl on this I Am Athlete podcast. Let's listen to what the $60 million man had to say.
it's coming. You know it's coming. Anybody close to us knows that you will be the next quarterback to raise the Lombardi Trophy for the Dallas Cowboys. That's fact. You can stamp it wherever you want. If that does not happen, do you feel like your career in Dallas is defined by whether you do or don't? I have no doubt that it will eventually happen. So I hope that my career is defined by that. It's not about the money for me. Never been about the money. It's about winning. That I play
Nah, he
this
know he
game out of
just
pure
told a
love.
lie.
Show the people you love them in your team, on your team, and the organization is by serving them and giving everything you can and winning for them. So
Now listen, I'm calling BS on that last part of that podcast because if you go back to way earlier in the summer or even late spring, he did an interview. It's never been about the money. I'll play for free. Okay. Dak, make your mind up, okay? You were holding out for a contract. So just keep it real, okay? Just keep it real. And nobody's going to look at you any different because you were holding out for money. I mean, look at what's going on around the NFL right now. But come on now. Stop. The inconsistency of your game, that technically didn't want you to get this contract. I have no it is I'll say this. Show up and play football and make people understand why Jerry just gave you that type of money. And then to Jerry Jones, it seems like he always has to one up, and that's probably what Robert Kraft was kind of alluding to. What has he actually done? And then you get in the Hall of Fame. If anybody should have been in the Hall of Fame, it should have been Robert Kraft. You know what the Patriots dynasty was? Are you kidding me? But that's what happens when you have the most profitable, the most valuable franchise in the world. We're not talking about the United States, folks. We're talking about the world at $10 billion. So, in my opinion, I think that he did that to kind of show up everybody like, aha, look what I can do. I can pay my quarterback who hasn't done anything in 8 years, $60 million. Go on now. I should have put him in the go on now segment. South Alabama put up some video game numbers on Northwestern State. When I tell you that I don't even understand how a score like this happens. South Alabama blew out Northwestern. Listen to this. Y'all ready for this? 87-10. Now, so that this wouldn't continue to go on and drag out, the coaches agreed to shorten the fourth quarter, and I think they shortened it to 6 minutes because of the score. And they're like, listen, we are not getting ready to run a whole entire quarter for this just to keep going and on and on. Let's just play 6 minutes in this game and be done with it. South Alabama was a 36.5 point favorite for that game as well. And that's an interesting line because who would have put that large of a point spread on the team? And I don't know that much about Northwestern, but obviously they're not a threat to your local flag football team. Apparently, Kansas State, Willie the Wildcat, and the U of A, Wilma the Wildcat, showed up, and Willie said, yeah, I'm not afraid of y'all. Let me go get my squad out the locker room so we could get done with this early. And let me tell you, Kansas State went in there and took care of business at home against number 20, Arizona. 31-7. 31-7. And when I say it was upset, this is one of the upsets that I was talking about because no one saw that. All of the money, 91% on betting pros had Arizona winning across the board. So did DraftKings, so did FanDuel, and all of your prize picks more or less have insane numbers on player props for the Wildcats. So yeah, Willie and his Wildcat team sent Wilma and her Wildcat team right on back here to Tucson. Up in Phoenix, so let's not get that confused, okay? They flew them right on back down there to Tucson and said, think about it and try again next week. Listen, with the O-line back, Bama covers and destroys Wisconsin. Now, check this out. Wisconsin or excuse me, let me rephrase that, was double digit home underdogs 6-1 against the spread this season. Okay, 6-1. However, Alabama said, no, 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 not, not right now, not today, and went in there and just sent them back home, and we just gonna leave it like that. Sent them right on back home where they and try again next weekend, fellas. But their O line looks really good, and with that O line being back in place as they once were, we'll see how far Bama can goes. But they look good to me. Okay, so listen, ASU's head coach, um, Dillingham, was beyond pissed. Okay, now listen to this. The officials added 1 second left on the clock after ASU took a knee on fourth down. Game is over. People are rushing the field or going home. And Dillingham is in the middle of an interview when you see all of the referees come back out on the field and say, we need to put 1 second back on the game clock. All right, so let's run this scenario down. Nothing happens. They snap the ball, time runs out. But what happens if they snap the ball and hand it off, or they just somehow get that? No, ain't no way you throwing that. You hand that ball off, and somehow, some way, they run back for a touchdown. Oh my goodness, if that would have happened, but it didn't, and so Dillingham was beyond furious and didn't even want to finish the interview, but he went back and spoke to the reporter. The reporter understood that he was angry and it wasn't the reporter's fault, but he basically said, I'm only out here right now so I don't get fined. And when I tell you he was mad, go and look at the interview that he did after the game, and you will see exactly what I'm talking about. Because in mid sentence, he said, I know they are not. And he looked, he said, oh, are you kidding me? And ran off the camera. He was beyond, beyond upset. Listen, Kyle Van Noy says that the Chiefs training room gets an F because of his experience there. Now, he went on a podcast to talk about the Chiefs training staff. And after suffering a fractured orbital bone in the third quarter, the Chiefs Ravens Kyle Van Noy expressed his displeasure with how he was treated by the Kansas City Chiefs medical staff. Now, he said, I was disappointed in the way the training staff of the Chiefs handled the situation. When you get hurt, especially something that could be serious like mine was, you're supposed to rely on the home team's training staff and their doctors. They took an entire quarter to get down to talk to me in the locker room, which to me is unacceptable. And I'm going to insert Dr. T here as the sports medicine doctor and tell you he's not wrong. It is our job to attend to the injury. It is our job to do it in a timely fashion. So if that was the whole story and if that was the truth and how it went down, he is not wrong at all. And I hope that, in doing so, he was able to articulate himself in a way in which perhaps there might have been some discipline and no one got fired, but there is a learning opportunity there. And I'm saying that should never happen. Listen, DeMar DeRozan, um, I don't understand why he just won't let certain things go. And what I mean is he's still talking about how the Raptors would have won the chip if they hadn't traded for Kawhi Leonard. Let's listen to what he had to say.
One more piece pushes over the top, and piece came to be Brian going to the West. And I didn't get an opportunity to see what would happen, but the utmost confidence within myself, I have no doubt in my mind the same outcome would have happened. We just needed.
Now, he's on First Take when he says that. And I mean, at some point in time, to me, um, I don't think they even had a shot to win the chip if they hadn't traded for uh Kawhi. I mean, without Kawhi, in my opinion, the Raptors follow me on this. Now, the Raptors would lose to the Sixers in round 2 for obvious reasons, right? Kawhi's clutch gene won them that series. Now, even if they beat Philly, the Raptors without Kawhi would have lost to the Bucks in the conference finals. Now don't forget they were down 0-2. Then Kawhi made the primary defender on Giannis. If you remember that, they win 4 straight and go to the finals. And you know, some things people just can't let go. That clearly, as much as he talks about it and brings it up, it stuck with him. Listen, he's human, I get it, but what is it doing for you now? You sometimes you have to pack that up, put that suitcase away and move on to the next trip because that's dead. Listen, there is a cough effect uh in Portland and they are canceling the game due to what is it? Whooping cough. I believe Portland State and South Dakota. Yeah, due to whooping cough amongst their players. And I mean, that could be very, very, very serious. Now, no players are currently seriously ill, but many of them in that area has been exposed to that particular disease. And so, listen, it's better to err on the side of caution because you fill up a whole stadium with 2 schools and you have a massive outbreak. That wouldn't be the smartest thing to do. So I know a lot of people were upset saying, okay, it's not that serious, put a mask on. And they don't really understand that whooping cough is not just what it sounds like. It's not just a whooping cough. It's a lot more that goes into it. Listen, Jamar Chase, here we go again with him, insured himself for up to 50 million in the event of an injury this season. Now, it seems that he's protecting his potential lost earnings in case injury with no plans to negotiate a deal with the Bengals this season. So I guess he's saying in case I get hurt or something like that and you guys are playing around with my money, I have to protect myself. So, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but at the same time, you still have to clean it up a little bit. Good brother, you got to clean that up, your behavior. Listen, I wish folks would leave Angel Reese alone, y'all. Come on now. Now they talking about she faked her injury. And now she has to take time out of her day to go on social media to explain every single thing that is going on with her wrist. This is what she had to say about it.
Yeah, no, I hurt my wrist. I am using. I fell on my hand when I got the M1. When I fell back, fell on my hand, and it is a small crack in my bone. The doctors told me that I could either not get surgery or have surgery. The risk of not having surgery, I could literally have arthritis at 22 years old. That wasn't an option. The bone could literally crack and literally completely shatter. Right now, it's like a hairline, literally a hairline, like shatter. Not even that big, but they're gonna put like a small little screw in it. And I wasn't going for it getting any bigger. And long term, I literally could have like not played anymore because my bone is. This is a very hard place to heal because the blood flow is like literally little to none. So that was an option. So I
Now listen, she goes on and on and on to explain even more in detail, but it leads me to a bigger issue that I struggle with being visible on social media, running a business, having a podcast and things of that nature. But here's my problem with the way the world is, and this is just one subject matter of a larger piece of pie. But social media and people, weird people, have made it to the point where you have to go log into your account and go prove or debunk some type of narrative that's been spread by God knows who from God knows where. And now at the expense of your own feelings, at the expense of your reputation. If you don't say something, they're going to talk about you. If you do say something, it's not good enough. And that leads me to this. Sometimes we need to just think about turning this nonsense off and live your real life. Do you actually think that fans had the opportunity to have a platform to go antagonize Jordan if he got hurt, or Pippen, or Mark Price, or Kareem? Or do you think that they had that ability? And then if a fan even approached one of those players, please, oops, upside your head. That's how it was back in the day. You remember Melee in the Palace? Stuff like that happens. But nowadays, everybody talks tough from behind the keyboard. Everybody gets cyber bullied. And so they bullied Angel Reese so bad that she felt like she needed to go and prove that the damn doctor said that her wrist is broken. I mean, that is disgusting to me. Just, and it's disheartening because that gives you an idea of where we are in the world when you have to prove that you're actually injured so that the world believes you. Terrible. Listen, Toledo received $1.77 million for a win over Mississippi State. And, for me, I think that um, people don't understand why schools have to pay each other. Now, in college football, there's what you call Power Four schools like Mississippi State and Alabama, etc., and a group of four schools like Toledo. Now, usually what happens, the Power Four schools would kill the group of four schools so that they pay them so that they will play them. Now, Power Four schools usually do this to tune up their teams in the beginning of the season, but Toledo is a pretty good team and they took care of business. So that's why a lot of the teams get paid. And I don't think a lot of people really know that, but the internet kind of exploded. Like, why did they get that much money? Calm down. Know the backstory first. It's always a reason for something, even if you don't understand it, because then they're saying, oh, that was sympathy money because the school is broke and this, that, and the other. Okay. Say what you will, but that's not the truth. The truth is that there's a process and there's a system behind why that happens, and it has nothing to do with what you guys are saying online. Kind of like the Super Bowl situation. You know what I mean? Like, let's blame Jay-Z, but then you find out it's really the hosting city that chooses it and all that drama. So then you look like you got egg pie thrown in your face, sort of like that same situation. Listen, Michael Jordan said, no, no, no. And because all of these fake Jordans have been coming out, putting a smear on his brand, on the Jordan brand, all of the 2025 Jordan releases, guess what? Have been canceled. That's right. So far, um, there's a list out um, that will, I believe, if not, it has gotten quite long since, I would say Friday, but the Jordan 5 Black Cats and the Jordan 1s TS Pale Vanilla were added to the list today. Some of the people's favorites, and the um, sneakerheads went absolutely insane. Now, listen, I love high heels and I love Jordan 1s, and I have a lot of both. And I will tell you that you can spot a fake easy. But I think what's happening is that it's just like, for me, when you go to some of the neighborhood stores and they have the shoes wrapped up in plastic on the shelves, versus you go to Foot Locker, Champs, or what is the store, Finish Line, and you see the Jordan on display. Probably has a whole Jordan display with the shorts and the joggers and whatnot. You know that shoe down the street is fake. It's wrapped up in some cellophane plastic, and they're gonna go get the other one from the back. Those who don't know don't, and sometimes those who do know don't even say anything. But nonetheless, Jordan said, "No, you will not," and pulled every last 2025 release. Listen, Alvin Kamara has arguments flying all over the internet over his numbers, and you cannot deny that that man showed up and put in the work that he actually is getting paid for. And when I tell you he ran all over top of those Cowboys, he ran all over top of them and didn't stop. Shout out to him. But um, a lot of people are saying it's about time. Um, they felt like it was, you know, time for him to get his shine, and other people are like, okay, calm down, it's too early. Now, see, listen, you're not going to please everybody. If your team is losing, of course you're going to say, calm down, it's too early, because you took the L. And then so you have the team that won and all the accolades come. But guess what? Cowboy fans, y'all wasn't saying that last week. It was, oh, we going to the Super Bowl after week 1. And you played my Cleveland Browns. I mean, come on now, stop it. But nonetheless, excuse me, Alvin Kamara, he had 20 carries, 115 yards, 2 catches, 65 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And he showed up to handle his business, and was not playing. Meanwhile, Bryce Young got benched. hmm I, as bad as he played, and some people are saying, oh, think about how he feels, and I get that too, but let's look at the other side of it. You made it all the way to the NFL. It is your job, and if you are not performing, I would hope, just like any other job, um, you get talked to. You get a warning, and being benched is the equivalent of being put on administrative leave, or it is being demoted, or it is being suspended, and so on and so on. You get my point. It's your job. And if you are not performing well on your job, then there is a repercussion for that. So he got benched, and we'll see what Andy Dalton can do. But I mean, he was very good in college, and sometimes this is a hard conversation. College doesn't always translate to pro. He's tiny, he's teeny tiny. He doesn't even look like a quarterback. But nonetheless, hopefully the young man takes this as a driving force to turn it into a positive that will make him go out and work with his coaches and such to help him develop in the areas that he needs development. So we'll see exactly what happens. Um, will he get better? Will he not? There is no way to know that, but it's all going to be on him. Listen, if you got money to bet, don't don't look for too much to come your way from when it comes to the Giants. Listen, there was an insane bet that could have won plus 6,000 for each team to score 1+ field goals in the 1 p.m. and 4:05 p.m. and 4:25 p.m. games. Ooh, and the special was just a Giants field goal away from hitting. Now, Graham Gano injured his hand on the opening kickoff, and they did not attempt, y'all ready? Any field goals for the remainder of the game. There was a bettor who put $100,000 down on this bet. I know they tried to punch all the oxygen out the air when they saw that wasn't going down. That's why I said don't be an emotional bettor. Only bet what you're willing to lose and be smart. Do your work. I would have never took no bet like that to begin with, even if I was rich and wealthy. I wouldn't have put my money down on a bet like that. Before we get into these picks, listen, Roger Goodell is saying he wants to have half of the football season. Does he want it next year? I'm not entirely sure. When did he put a date to it? Because this is crazy. No, he didn't put a date. He said very soon. He wants to have quite a few games played in Australia and Asia. He wants 16 international games per season. Wait a minute. Say it like my aunt says it in Trinidad. Hold on now. Hold on. My mom's family. Hold on. Now you mean to tell me 16 games out of an already now 18-week NFL season, and you want them to be where now? Did you go and do some research and find out that they had Dallas Cowboy fans over there and Jerry got you trying to go on a world tour? Because this is not it. You done already had them folks down there in Brazil trying to make sure they can play football and get out of there with their life. Now you want to send them over to Asia. Now, okay. All right now. You're getting a little bit too close over there by the North and South Korean boys. You better leave them alone. They already don't like us. And you won't send the football teams over there. But anyway, Roger Goodell is going to do exactly what Roger Goodell wants to do. That we know for sure. So take a break and come right back with me. And we are going to go over the picks for this week. You guys got your pen and your paper down ready to put some picks in? Well, let's go over some game line picks for this week. So with the Giants and Browns, I'm going to take the under on that game, 38.5. And then we have the Titans and Packers. Going to take the over 36.5 in that game. And then the Cowboys and the Ravens, I'm going plus 1.5 on the Cowboys. Now, we're going to jump over from game lines to first halves. So for the Saints and the Eagles, I'm going under 24.5. And then Dolphins in Seattle, I'm going straight on the money line. First half, though, remember, this is only the first half. And then the Rams and Niners, I'm going San Francisco on the spread on that one. And then my picks for college football this week, we have Ohio State and Marshall. So I'm taking the over on that, which is at 50.5. Oklahoma and Utah. I'm going Oklahoma State with +2 on there. I think they may make some noise. Another upset. I smell it. And then Kansas State and BYU are both right now 3-0, but I'm gonna take the under on that at 47.5. Don't forget to go ahead and join me on DraftKings. Yes, go to drT23.site and click join me on DraftKings, and they will match a $5 deposit up to $250 bonus bets. Get you some chalupas so that you can make some chalupas. And don't forget, the crown is yours. All right, so we are going to come back with Gone Now because some nurses in Hawaii are pissed. And Michael Irvin, good brother, I need you to go ahead and calm down, good brother. Okay, so we're going to come back on Gone Now before we get out of here.
Voting is the cornerstone of our democracy. We know that people fought tooth and nail to get that privilege. It is how we make our voices heard, and we drive change in our communities through voting. Your vote matters, so make sure you are registered, stay informed, and cast your ballot this upcoming election. Remember, your vote is your power. If you are not registered to vote, go to vote.org. That's VOTE.org. Get registered so that your voice is heard. Let's get back to the show.
All right, you guys, before I get out of here, it's time for Gone Now because it's a lot of nonsense going on this weekend. So my first Gone Now goes to Kapai Olani Medical Center in Hawaii. Now, they made a bold move and locked out its nurses amidst the heated labor dispute. Now, this aggressive tactic comes after the Hawaii Nurses Association threatened to strike over inadequate staffing ratios and alleged unsafe working conditions. And that is not even anywhere far from being untrue. The hospital is using a legal maneuver to preemptively, strike back, bringing temporary staff to replace the locked out nurses, signaling their readiness to maintain operations without conceding to the union's demands. Now, go on now. Listen, ICU is supposed to be 1-to-1. You go up to ICU, you see 3 heavy ICU patients to 1 nurse sometimes. And when I say heavy, I don't mean in weight. I'm talking about central lines, arterial lines. Sometimes they may have a pacemaker. You may have a fresh open heart case. You may have a liver transplant, and you have no ability to give your patient one-on-one attention. Mind you, they have to be turned. Now, when you talk about the operating room where I lived and breathed for 21 years, you're talking about having 1 nurse in a room with no one to come and free them up for lunch. I mean, I can go on and on and on and on. So I get the point of what they're doing. Now, the hospital has taken a hard stance stating that the nurses will not be allowed back onto the property until they accept the current terms unconditionally. Now, this isn't a negotiation for a new agreement. It's a forced ultimatum. Go on now. Y'all just need to knock it off. And then here's the ugly side of it. Y'all ready for this? They're going to hire temp agency staffing to come and fill those 600 vacant positions. And guess what, y'all? You ready for this? they're going to pay the temp workers more than the nurses who are staff employees of the hospital. Gone now. Listen, Michael Irvin needs to calm down. And when I say he needs to calm down, he needs to calm all the way down, sir. It is week 2. Sorry, it is week 2. And you all lost one game. Listen to the entire meltdown that Michael Irvin has about his old Dallas Cowboys. Just listen to this. Listen. They built Dallas Cowboys. They made the city this team. They put a championship on the table before I got here. My job while I was here is to match what they have done to us. They built it. They handed it to me. Put my damn championship on the table. That's all we have. Put your damn championship on the table, and you couldn't do it. All of this is God. Oh, listen, okay? Go on now, Michael's gonna sit down and go check your blood pressure, okay? Stop it. It is week 2, okay? Did they get embarrassed? Absolutely. Horribly. It is week 2. Now, we all know how the Dallas Cowboys story ends because of their history. But do we know? Are we psychic? Do we know the future? No, but we can kind of predict perhaps what will happen. But to have this kind of meltdown, sir, in week 2, gone now. Go over there back to your new bar that you just opened up down there in Dallas. Have a shot or whatever it is of your choice and calm down. Have several seats, young man, because at the end of that video, you were straining for your life just to get that out. So knock it off. I know it's no more undisputed, Michael, and you're kind of bored. And so now you taking all this built up, pent up energy that you used to, you know, have on undisputed with Keyshawn and Skip. You got to stop. That was cringeworthy, brother. You got to knock that one off, okay? That's going to end it for this week's episode, y'all. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this podcast. And go ahead and tell somebody. And also tell them that, guess what? Psst, guess what? She don't even charge you for a subscription. That's right. It don't cost you a thing. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that notification bell so you know when I am back. And guess what? That'll be next week, y'all. All right? iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, and Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Peace.